What is an international humanitarian rights law? Okay, this is a law that transcends state boundaries by seeking to define and uphold those rights held universally by every person, regardless of nationality. Okay, it means that even if you are living somewhere else, you are still protected by that humanitarian law. Okay, it deals with the way a state acts towards individuals and groups, and in particular, its own citizens. So, what are human rights? This is a topic, okay, that is now this is trend. Okay, so every now and then you hear of human rights. So, what is human rights? These are rights inherent to all human beings. Whatever our nationality, place of residence, sex, national or ethnic origin, color, religion, language, and other status. That's the meaning of human rights. Okay, regardless of whatever you are or who you are, okay, you are protected by that rights, and each of us has equal rights. These rights are all inherited or interrelated, interdependent, and indivisible. These are the rights that take the form of claims limiting the power of government over the governed. So, these human rights are also incorporated in our constitution under the Bill of Rights. Okay? So, these are the rights which the government is bound to protect the citizen. Okay? So, meaning the government should respect these rights. What are the three generations of human rights? First, the civil and political rights. Okay? That is the first generation. It is divided in three generations. Okay, the second generation refers to economic, social, and cultural rights. And the third generation, rights that go beyond the mere civil and social. Okay? All those rights that are not mentioned in the first and second generation are called the third generation. We go back to the first. What is the first generation rights? Okay, civil and political. What does it mean? Everyone has the right to life, liberty, and security of person. Where can you find this in our constitution? It is in the Bill of Rights. And what is that? The right to life, liberty, and property. No person shall be no life shall be taken without due process of law. Meaning it can still be taken provided that there is due process, nor an equal protection. Okay. Now, how about the second generation rights, which is economic, social, and cultural rights? Everyone as a member of society has the right to social security and is entitled to realization through rational effort and international cooperation. Okay? So, every member of society is entitled to mutual cooperation. Okay? How about the third generation? That is not mentioned in both the first and the second. That is called third generation. Rights go beyond a mere civil and social. Okay, as expressed in many progressive documents of international law, including the Stockholm and Rio Declaration. Normally, these are found in the summit, okay, or conferences of or agreements between states. Okay, like there are conferences between or among between and among nations. So the agreement entered into forms part of the third generation rights. Now, what are the limitations on the exercise of the rights under the Declaration? In the exercises of the rights and freedom, everyone shall be subject only to such limitation and are determined by law solely for the purpose of securing due recognition and respect for the rights and freedom of others and of the meeting of just requirements of morality, public order, and general welfare. Okay? So, what is the basis of the rights of the protection? Based on morality. Okay? What else? Aside from morality, public order, okay, and general welfare. Okay? So take note of that. If it is not, or the limit is, or the reason why some country would intervene is because of morality. Like for example in the Philippines, let us say there are killings, extrajudicial killings, alleged extrajudicial killings, then the UN may enter into through human international humanitarian rights. Okay. What else? Public order. If there are killings going on, initiated by government, other country may intervene. Okay. And the third is general welfare. Let us say people are now starving. So members of the United Nations may even intervene. Although as I mentioned, as we discussed early, that every state is sovereign, right? No other state can intervene. But in this case, in the name of humanitarian rights or human rights, then other country may intervene. Okay, up to some aspect, but not all, because generally other states cannot enter into the scene of another state. Okay, because no sovereign is above the other sovereign. Now, what is the concept of self-determination of the people? It is very common. In fact, some states apply this one in claiming or in justifying their rights, like claim of a territory, or when a territory is invaded by another, you would say that it's a violation of the self-determination, or their policy, which may be contrary to other laws, then you would say it's our self-determination. And what is self-determination then? Self-determination is a concept postulates that all people have the right to self-determination. The word itself, self-determination. What do you want in life? That is your right. Okay, that's the meaning of self-determination. By virtue of that right, they freely determine their political status and freely pursue their economic, social, and cultural development. Okay? So, this is a defense of the state where other country would probably intervene. You would say it is our right to self-determination of whatever we like. Okay? Because under the self-determination, it states that, one is, ano man, to determine the economic, social, and cultural development. Okay? So, as contrary to the other side, where human rights include economic, social, and cultural, if there are violations, other group like international human rights may intervene. But a defense of the state is the self-determination. Okay? Each state has the right of self-determination. And what is self-determination? The state can pursue their one, economic, second, social, and third, cultural development. Okay? So, as a defense, if there are countries would intervene, we would say that it is our right of self-determination to pursue our economic, social, and cultural development. Okay, now I'm asking you, there's a United Nation um, member trying to investigate the extrajudicial killing. Did they violate that self-determination? You have to ask yourself whether is it economic, social, or cultural. Okay. Maybe social, right? Maybe. Okay. At certain aspect they can. Okay. Okay, but a state again is sovereign. Okay, the state has the right even to exclude anybody from entering our country. It is a privilege to enter to a territory of another. That is why even if you are a foreigner, you can easily be deported, and the reason is very easy: unbecoming, okay, or undesirable. If you are undesirable to a country, you will be deported, okay, because you are a stranger. That's not your place. Similar to them investigating our human rights violation of alleged extrajudicial killing, they are just visitors. Okay, and the government cannot be compelled to produce evidence on the records of the police because police PNP is under the direct supervision of the heads of state or the president. Okay, in our country it's president. In other country it's prime minister. And giving them information is like giving them evidence. Okay, so it's correct not to give them information. Okay, it's their job to find it. It's not for us to give you the evidence. Otherwise, you might use that evidence against us. Okay, that's why they find it difficult really to investigate because the police officer will not cooperate. Okay, now how may rights under the ICCPR be derogated from, or may the rights under the ICCPR be derogated from? What's ICCPR? International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. May it be derogated? The answer is no, except in times of public emergency which threatens the life of the nation and the existence of which is officially proclaimed. Okay? But what are the rights that may be derogated or may not rather be derogated? What are the rights which may not be derogated from under any circumstances? One, right to life. That cannot be derogated. Another, freedom from torture. Another, inhuman or inhuman punishment. How about death? Is it inhuman? Death penalty is now, it was stopped, it was not implemented. Okay, it was abolished. Is death penalty inhuman? Huh? No, why? When can you say it's human? When you are not suffering, right? You are not suffering because you will just sleep, right? You will just sleep and then you cannot wake up anymore. It's not painful. Okay? But can there be a death penalty? But before you die, you are laughing, like tickling you to death. Is it inhuman punishment? Huh? Inhuman still? No. Huh? Inhuman? Tickling you to death. Tickling. Tickle ka until you die. Is it inhuman still? Inhuman? You are laughing when you die. Perhaps when you are in a coffin, you are smiling. There are misconception of legislators here in imposition of death penalty. There are actually two concepts or three actually school of thought on penalty. One is a traditional or classical, the other one is positivist, and the last is eclectic. Okay, when it's traditional, an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. If you kill somebody, you will be killed as well. Okay, that is traditional. Positivist, another view of penalty is that it's more on correctional. Okay, giving a chance for you to reform. That's why you are in prison. Okay, and the other one, which is now a new approach, which is what is applied in our country, is the eclectic. Okay? Eclectic meaning applicable to both on some aspect. The eclectic here in the Philippine law applies only we apply traditional on heinous crimes. Okay? But the argument before is that if you committed a crime, when you take a life of another, that penalty is also taking your life. Okay, because it's an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Okay? The other penalty should be correctional. Okay? But there is now a misunderstanding of it because even if you did not take a life, the penalty is death still. Okay? Like rape, it should not be death because you didn't kill a woman, right? But the penalty is now death. That is actually contrary to the old philosophy, okay, of imposing a penalty. Supposedly, if you kill, your life will also be taken. Okay, that only applies to death penalty. The rest are not supposedly the punishment should be not death penalty. Okay. Now, right now, because of the new trend that the state declares death penalty as inhuman. Okay, so almost all countries now adopt the abolishment of death penalty. In Iran, I think is it Iran? If you commit a crime, a woman commits an adultery will be stoned to death. Okay, stoned. It depends on the number of or the gravity. She will be killed by stoning to death. Okay, so that's more inhuman, right? Inhuman. Now, aside from right to life, freedom from torture and other inhuman punishment, what else that cannot be derogated? Freedom from enslavement or servitude. Servitude. Enslavement. Okay? And there are actually crimes committed here which under Philippine laws are punishable. Like white slavery. What's slavery? White slavery. Okay? Mga small children below 18 are engaged into prostitution. Okay? And they are traded for in other country for for sex. Okay, that's why we have now anti-human trafficking. What is anti-human trafficking? Bars right now are raided. They are raided by the police because that bar, instead of, aside from some of some of them are into drugs, they are also into prostitution. And usually the women are below 18 years old and they come normally, usually from the provinces. Okay, so that is inhuman. Why? Because there is inequality in government, right? Only those rich people become rich because they are close to politician, while those poor, they come from the province because development is nothing there. The development is only in the city. They come to Cebu and become victims of this white slavery. They give up themselves just for rich people to be happy. Can you imagine? Okay. And who are these rich people? They're politicians who do not want rural areas will be developed. Okay. So that's the irony, the injustice. Aside from that, what else? Protection from imprisonment for inability to fulfill contractual obligation. Okay, no one will be imprisoned for violation of the contract. Only civil damages. A breach of contract, no one can be imprisoned for a breach of contract, but only damages. That's another not cannot be derogated. Protection from ex post facto law. It is found in the Bill of Rights, the last section, section 22. No person shall be imprisoned for non-payment. No, what is that law? No person shall be, no ex post facto law or bill of attainder shall be passed. What is ex post facto law? The law that will retroact. You pass it now, but the effectivity is before. Okay? When you commit the crime, it's not yet punishable. But there's a law passed making it punishable. That is ex post facto law. Or alter the rules of evidence, or at the time when you commit the crime, you are entitled to the privilege or a right. But when the law passed, you are no longer entitled to it. That is an ex post facto law. Or alter the rules of evidence. At the time when you commit the crime, the requirement is only this evidence. But when the law passed, it retroacts, making it difficult for you to defend. That is an ex post facto law. Bill of attainder. What is bill of attainder? As I for you to recall that topic in Constitution, bill of attainder meaning making a law, passing a law, making the act punishable. Okay, it originates in England when one of the statesmen defended himself that he can be acquitted actually, but a legislator passed a law making him punishable without trial. That is bill of attainder. Another, right to recognition everywhere as a person before the law. So, so anywhere, everywhere, you will be recognized. Okay? What does that mean? Even if you are in another country, you are still recognized and you are entitled to the protection. And the last is freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. Okay? Now, what is the limitation and exercise of the rights under International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights? The state may subject such rights only to such limitations as are determined by law only insofar as this may be compatible with the nature of these rights and solely for the purpose of promoting the general welfare in a democratic society. What do you mean by general welfare? What is due to everyone? Okay, that's the meaning of general welfare. It simply means that it is for all. Okay, not that it is that the law only favors the few. That is not general welfare. In fact, the purpose of government is to bring about change or bring the goods to everybody. Okay? Not that you make a law benefiting only a few. Okay? It should be for general welfare. Okay?